forward.
This meeting is being recorded.
Awesome. All right. First, I would like to thank everybody for attending tonight. And it really means a lot to me that you would take time out of your day to hear what I briefly spoke to you about in more detail. Today, I'd like to present Miss Cami Baker to everyone. She is the founder of the Real Agents of Change. Cami has a background in real estate, and she has worked with nonprofits over numerous years. She has a big passion for helping the community in many ways. Cami also appeared on HGTV's House Hunters show, and she has written a book. Her latest book is Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not. So right now, I'm excited for everybody that's here and the information that's about to be presented. And I'm going to turn the camera over to you, Cami.
Well, thank you, Toni. Wow, she actually wrote out a bio. I'm impressed. I appreciate that. So friends, I'm sitting outside my RV. So that's a 5-foot image of the book there. Real estate is hot, fundraising is not, is our play on words to just say, look, we know your nonprofits need to get funded. We know that there are generous property owners out there that will donate real estate on your behalf. They just need to know it is an option. Let's give those donors a choice. So I'm going to share my screen, go through about a 20-minute overview, and then open up for questions. So let's just jump right in. So charitable gifting of real estate 101. So we actually have a version of this for realtors, for the donors themselves. So when you want your donors to learn how this works, we've got a perspective for them as well. And we also have a 101 that talks about, so can we just mute ourselves out, please? So we can have a clean recording, please. If everybody could mute out, that'd be great. And we have a 101 overview around social responsibility in general, teaching for-profits and nonprofits how to come together and work together. But this one today is all about the nonprofits. So what would your nonprofit do with $550,000? Now, I was speaking with John before a couple of others came on, about doing some housing in his community. Big topic all over the country. That $550,000 could be a huge down payment. It could be a way to pay rent for people. Like, everybody's got a little bit of a different way of addressing the homeless issue, but we ask this specific number, and this number has actually gone up since last year. But the reason we ask this number is because that is the average donation from one piece of real estate. This is the equity that comes from a gift of real estate. The book that we wrote is basically a playbook. It's a workbook. It's a guide to help the nonprofits and the for-profits come together and understand how this works. As a matter of fact, in April, we have a legacy listing month. That's a nationwide public awareness campaign. So Dr. Russell James is a foremost authority in all of this around financial estate planning and teaching financial advisors and working with nonprofits to help donors to give more. And he has proven over the years that nonprofits that are accepting non-cash assets can 5 and 6 times the amount of donations they're bringing in from the same donors that they already have, as opposed to only asking for cash. And he actually wrote the foreword for our book. And in his own words, he says, the numbers are clear. Transformational philanthropy comes from major assets like real estate, but numbers aren't the problem. The problem is action. People can understand the idea and they can nod their heads at the numbers, but nothing, they don't act. Friends, this is about taking action. Take action, because your donors are on other donor lists. And the nonprofit that educates them is going to be the one that benefits from tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. So there are 1.5 million nonprofits in this country, and less than 0.5% take real estate. So 99.9% of nonprofits, If there was a person who had $500 or the deed to a property worth 500,000, 99% of the time, they're going to say no to the real estate and just be grateful for the 500 bucks because it is very risky. It's time consuming and they just won't do it. And we've come up with these 3 ways to really just help explain why that is. There are 3 ways that a donor, someone with real estate from anywhere in the country, can help any nonprofit in the country. We'll show you how this works. So the first way that a donor can help your nonprofit, let's say that it is a church in Atlanta, and there is a donor that loves that church and they have a condo in Florida. Now, the first way that they can help that church is if they just go sell that condo, pay all the taxes, etc., and give the proceeds to the church. Now, this is a very common mistake because the donor is going to pay a lot more taxes that way. The nonprofit is going to receive the least amount of donation. The donor gets the least amount of tax write-offs. This is the most inefficient, ineffective, lazy, old-fashioned way. This is what people used to do when they just didn't know any better, and it is flat out the worst way. Now, the second way is if that church in Atlanta, that this person has a condo in Florida, and let's say it's $1 million condo and it's got a $200,000 mortgage on it. The fact is that mortgage has to be paid off in order for the nonprofit to take that gift of real estate and give the donor the tax benefits they're looking for. So the second way is if that donor tries to give the property directly to the church in Atlanta. But here's the problem with that. That church would have to pay off that $200,000 mortgage. And if the donor wanted any cash, they'd have to come up with that out of pocket. They're also going to be responsible for the maintenance and maintaining and what they call the holding cost. And if there's any HOA fees or taxes and insurance. And friends, here's the deal. 99.9% of nonprofits flat out just won't do it. And frankly, they shouldn't do it because if they start trying to figure out how to sell a condo in Florida, they're not helping people with bringing the message of the Lord. They need to stay on their mission. So this is the hardest way. It's the hardest way for the nonprofit itself to try to take the real estate. And here's a lot of the reasons why the 99.9% of nonprofits are missing out. $9 billion a year is donated to nonprofits. It should be $29 billion. That's our goal to get it to. And here's why nonprofits you know and love are missing out on that money. Number one, they have no experience in real estate. They don't have a real estate team. And friends, even if Toni and myself, who wrote the book on this topic, even if we sit on the board of advisors as the experts, they don't have the cash. So in our story here, this donor has $1 million condo. There's a $200,000 mortgage. Somebody's got to come out of pocket that $200,000, and they just don't have the cash for it. Now, trying to get into real estate diverts their attention. We call it mission drift, drifting off our mission, trying to figure out something that's just not in our wheelhouse. Nonprofits have heard of bad experiences or they've had bad experiences, and they will not put their nonprofit in that kind of risk, and they shouldn't. Now, some will accept real estate on a very limited basis, like if it's local and it's mortgage free and it's vacant and it's in their same town, but very limited, very small box, those kinds of real estate fit into. And most nonprofits have it written right in their bylaws. We do not accept non-cash assets, especially not real estate. So the bottom line is it's just too risky. It's too risky. And that's why this has been around for 100 years, but so many people haven't heard of it. And the real reason that these nonprofits are not getting funded this way is because they don't know about the third option. So now we talked about the first option. Person goes and sells their real estate and gives the church the proceeds. Church gets the least amount of money. Donor gets the least tax advantages. It's the worst way. What if the donor gives it directly to the church? 99.9% of the time, church won't do it. It's too hard. So here's the third way. We at the Real Agents of Change have put together a team of experts, and we have a partnered specialized nonprofit whose sole purpose for existing is to take gifts of real estate on behalf of any of the 1.5 million nonprofits in this country. This makes it risk-free for that church in Atlanta. There is no money out of pocket for that church to have this donation handled. The capital that is needed, what if this condo got hurt in Hurricane Ian? What if it needs a little bit of rehab? That's okay, there's money for that too. Now, a bargain sale simply means that if there's money that's needed to pay off mortgages, or if the donor wants cash back, these are things that this team can take care of as well. See, with the way that this is, this win-win-win way, the donor receives the full array of tax benefits immediately. The nonprofit world receives the maximum donation. 100% of the 1.5 million nonprofits are eligible for this program. This is a win-win-win for everyone. And people have gotten so jaded and so cynical and are so afraid that if something sounds too good to be true, then it must be. But friends, just because the nonprofit gets more money, the donor gets more benefit, and the realtor gets paid and everybody wins, don't let that be something that makes you think, wow, it's too good to be true. No, the fact is, this is smart. This is smart giving. This is tapping into the 43% of wealth we have in this country. And this is something that your church, your nonprofit, your communities can benefit from. So this team of experts takes the title. They take title of that condo in Florida. The church in Atlanta doesn't even need to know the address. They don't even need to know the city it's in. That's how far removed they are from any liability. There is no risk. They are never taking title. They are never paying off a mortgage or signing their name for HOA fees. There is no money out of pocket. The specialized nonprofit is a 501c3. They too live on donations, and they keep on average 2% of the proceeds on the back end. So this church in Atlanta is going to get 98% of the proceeds from real estate that they never could have facilitated themselves. And there's no need to change gift acceptance policies or have big board approval, because the fact is the money is granted to that church. They never have to accept the title to the property. So the board doesn't need to get involved. Now, we want the board to understand it. We want the board to be a part of telling people. The board might even have real estate themselves. But the point is they don't have to go through any lengthy board approval process. This allows any nonprofit to benefit from gifts of real estate. Now, other nonprofits are doing it. $9 billion a year is already given. The average donation is $550,000 from one gift. From one gift. Think of how many car washes and bake sales and golf tournaments one nonprofit would have to do for that kind of money. About 18,000 donations a year on average when you look at the numbers. Now, we've mentioned 99.9% don't take real estate. Well, what about that other 0.0067 tiny little percent that do? And I want to share these with you because if you are interested in helping your nonprofit to get funded from the 43% of wealth this country has, then you're probably going to do some due diligence. My God, I hope you Google it. I hope you take a look and see how to donate real estate, who takes gifts of real estate, etc. And we share these with you because your donors are going to be hearing about this, and they are going to be Googling too. And if they find Cars for Kids as an example, Cars for Kids takes real estate now too. And if your donor needs a tax deduction, they've got property that they don't want or need, they're, simplifying their estate, they're retiring, they're looking for ways to liquidate, they want to give back, they want to get a tax deduction. If they give it to Cars for Kids, they're going to get that tax deduction they're looking for. But here's the problem. Your church is not going to get any of the money because Cars for Kids is doing this for themselves. See, we have our own real estate team that can do this for your nonprofit. And your donors, man, they need to know. They just need to know that you can benefit. Your donors are on other donor lists. They are going to learn about this. They are looking for tax deductions and they are wanting to leave a legacy. They're doing all their planned giving. People in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and a lot of them don't even have kids. They're all looking for ways to liquidate their assets and they're going to do it one way or another. So why not let them know that you can benefit? See, these donations of real estate come in for your nonprofit and we do the rest. Think of it as credit card processing. If I were to go to your nonprofit website right now, there would be a button on there that says donate. And I could use my Visa, my MasterCard, my American Express, and I could pop that number in there. And 3 days later, you're getting 97% of the donation. It's called credit card processing. It's been happening for a long time. And what we're saying here is all you need is another button to accept gifts of real estate. And we are your real estate processing. It is that simple. So here's a simple case study to explain exactly how this works. Berkeley Humane Society. In December of 2021, two Decembers ago, a donor comes to the table and he had these 12 lots and he wanted a tax deduction. That's what he wanted. And he said, you know what, go ahead and give it to Berkeley. I like them. They're pretty cool. So when the land sold, they got $406,000 from one donor. Now, they had no idea that gifts of real estate were possible. They have other donors. They said, can we get more of this? And we said, yes. So they started making phone calls. And friends, it is as simple as this. They said to the people that love them and support them, hey, we don't know how this works, but gifts of real estate are funding nonprofits nationwide. And we actually just got a gift and we were told to just let people know that this is possible. And they got a second gift. This woman had a house that her mother left her and she was never going to move into it. So she donated it and they got a second check within 6 months. So the moral of the story, one nonprofit, 2 donations, 6 months, $1 million. Now, if you go to their website, you see a fancy page that talks about donating real estate and all this happy stuff, but they didn't have that before. They didn't know this was possible, just like you didn't know it was possible, but they told people. And now they brought in that much money in 6 months. Now, this is not about real estate in your town for your church to move into or for you to acquire and manage and maintain. This is about real estate from anywhere in the country, and it can be any size. It could be raw land. It could be a ranch in Texas. It could be a high-rise in Chicago. It could be a beach house in California. Any size, any type, from anywhere in the country. And it helps to create funds for you now and later this year and for generations to come. Because some people do have real estate right this red hot minute. Friends, $9 billion a year is donated this way. There's transactions happening all around us. And some people need to hear it a couple of times. And maybe they won't be ready to do it until next year. And some people will put it in their estate planning for 3 or 5 or 10 years from now. But the deal is they won't do any of that for your nonprofit unless you educate them and let them know. So here's an example. This is a university that actually had a golf club. donated to them. This is a building that was donated to the Martin Luther King Community Center 2 years ago. This is a property in California. And I love showing all these properties because this is not about an abandoned gas station in a bad part of town. This is about real estate that is owned by generous, heart-centered people who love you and want to support you. And we have story after story of people who were giving $25 a year to their nonprofit. And when they found out they could give real estate, they did. So don't think, gosh, I don't know anybody that would donate real estate. How would we possibly know that? We've never told them before. That story about the $25 a year and that woman donated a cabin in the Poconos, actually, her name is Linda. And part of our story is everyone knows Linda. You know Linda. She's in your phone. She's on your Facebook group. She just needs to know that she can donate real estate. This couple donated $129 million worth of real estate to this one community foundation because it was time for them to settle their estate and to move on with life and do something else. So they donated that much money. Imagine what that would do for your community. Now, these are logos that I'm sure you recognize. All of these have benefited from a gift of real estate that they did not take title to, that they didn't know the address for, that they simply got a grant check because of. So even Fidelity Charitable is at the top of the screen. That is the largest nonprofit in this country. And even at $13 billion a year that they bring in, even they don't do their own gifts of real estate. This is for any nonprofit, no matter how large or small. Universities, public radio, public TV, soup kitchens, homeless shelters, churches, you name it. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, that's all well and good. So what's next? Don't waste time. This has been happening since 1917. This is a 100-year-old tax code. But the reason that you're seeing this now is because 3 years ago, when I learned about this with all my real estate background and all my nonprofit background, I thought, you know what? Every nonprofit deserves to know about this. Every real estate agent. We need to tell people. And that's what we're doing. And we're telling them at a very fast rate. Now, we want you to do your research. therock.com/documents. As a matter of fact, I'm going to keep this real simple. We've put all of our document links, all of our videos in one spot. therock.com/hot, HOT. So you see how we spell it there, RAOC, The Rock stands for Real Agent of Change. And I'll put that in the chat before we finish up today. Now, the third thing is communication is key. We want you to ask your questions. Now, this is my contact information. This is the VP of our company, who happens to also be my fiance. This information, we are recording this, and you can go back and get our phone number and email if you need it. And just take the funding. We actually have a website, justtakethefunding.com. This is not complicated. You don't have to learn about the tax forms. Just like that credit card processing, when someone goes to your website and clicks on donate, you don't know if they've got enough room on their credit card. You don't know what their credit score is. You don't know what interest they're paying. You hired a credit card company to do that. And now you get 97% in your account 3 days later. It is the same thing here. You let the experts do what they do, and you go do what you do. You bring your mission to the world. So, which is actually number 5 there, do what you were made to do, which is to create a difference. So that's really the end of the presentation. I see we've had a couple more people jump on. I am sitting outside and it has gotten dark since I got started. But I think we can finish up here in the dark. Questions, comments, concerns. Let's talk about it.
So what are the initial requirements for nonprofits such as churches to be eligible to apply, or what steps are necessary for them to even get access to the funds?
Thank you for asking, Francis. So we have to look at this a little different than gaining access to funds or applying to qualify. This is about telling people, because the people on your donor list, the people in your Facebook, your friends in the community, we spread the word. Because when a piece of real estate comes to the table and you're the one that brought it to the table, it's your nonprofit that's getting the proceeds. You don't have to apply for that. You don't have to qualify. You don't have to write a long story about it. You just tell people that you can benefit from real estate. And when the deal comes to the table, it's up to the donor to decide who gets the money. And obviously, if it's a donor that loves your charity and your nonprofit, you're the one that's going to get the money.
I guess I'm a little confused on that. I mean, how will that donor know that I exist? I guess that's my real question.
So, well, Francine, let me ask you this. Are you a nonprofit?
Yes, I am.
Do you fundraise now?
I've been trying to fundraise, but that fundraising is like non-existent to people. You can request fundraising and put things out there, and people don't donate.
Right. Well, when you created your nonprofit, you knew that there would be fundraising to do. So
Yes.
what we are saying is, when you are talking to people, when you are promoting your bake sale or your gala or the car wash or the golf tournament, all these things that you're already doing to fundraise, you're talking to friends and family and followers and funders. And you're just going to have to kind of go with me on this and stay in the conversation for a minute. Those people know people that have real estate and will donate to you. We just have to expand our mind and know that there is abundance in the universe. The Lord wants you to make it. And if you just tell people, the ripple effect will go out, and somebody's uncle or somebody's boss or somebody's going to hear about your mission. So we're not saying that you do this and nothing else. We say, hey, just add this to the fundraiser you're already doing. Put the button on your website, post a link on your page, tell your top 5 friends. Just tell people, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Toni, did I cover it all? Is there anything else you'd like me to get clear on?
No, I think you covered everything. I just want to make sure that everybody is clear on how the process works. If they have questions, basically just get out there and let people know that your organization does accept real estate. Put it on all your literature. Mhm.
Believe me, we get that this is like, what? How much? My donors? How do I do this? We
Yeah.
get that. We don't expect you to see it one time and then just, start a parade about it.
Right.
What we're doing is we're educating you. We're letting you know this is an option. It is happening. It's been happening for 100 years. If you ask any CPA, tax accountant, financial advisor, do people get a good tax benefit from donating real estate? They'll say, well, yeah, of course they do. But what they don't know is a nonprofit that will actually take real estate. So that's why we have our partnered nonprofit that does this on behalf of you, for you. On paper, it's real estate transaction, just like any other, only now It's written right in the document. John Smith wants 80% of the $500,000 profit to go to John's church. It's written right there. So when the real estate is sold, John gets a grant. It's a contract. So for now, let me put in the chat that link that I just mentioned. And now it's gotten dark out here. I don't even know if I can see my screen to type it.
Cammy's in Florida, everybody. She's sitting outside.
I am. I'm sitting outside and it got dark on me. So it's therock.com / where's the / when you're looking for it, you can't find it, / hot. And Toni, you can make sure that they all get this as well. Feel free to send any of our stuff. But when you go to that link, you can look at 14 case studies of who donated real estate, why they did it, how much money came out of it, what nonprofit got funded. You'll see our top most asked questions and answers. You'll see this same presentation done 4 different styles. So just sit in the information. And my team is actually creating right this red hot minute some free, easy bullet points stuff that you can put on your website. And we can always help to create some stuff to put on your website too. But here's the thing. I know nonprofits who put it on their website and sit back and wait for something to happen. That's not how it works. The only way a major gift like real estate is graciously donated by another human being is because you have a relationship with them. They love you. They want your mission to succeed. They want to see people not be homeless. They want to see battered women taken care of. They want to stop human trafficking. You've got the time and talent to run the nonprofit. They've got the treasure. And sometimes their treasure is cash, and sometimes their treasure is real estate. It is what it is.
I have a question.
Sure.
What is the procedure that you all have in place for the donor, your business, and the agency or nonprofit organization? What are the logistics of who gets to contact who first, and then after the contact, what happens afterwards?
Well, everybody makes that decision for themselves, John. Some nonprofits say to us, our donors are held straight to our chest. We'll talk to them, and when we find somebody, we'll introduce you. Others say, we're so busy, we don't have time for this. Just put your phone number on the website, Cami, and let us know when something comes through. So everybody does it different, John, but the bottom line is this. When a donor says, I got this 3-family in Boston, bought it 50 years ago. I'd pay hundreds of thousands in capital gains if I sold it. I love what you're doing, John. Tell you what, let's see if this will make a good donation. What happens is we put you and that donor together with the specialized nonprofit who does this for a living, and they find out from that donor, do you owe anything on it? Do you want any cash out? What is your tax situation? They create 2 net sheets. Here's what it would look like if they sold it and paid all their taxes and stuff. Here's what it would look like if they were to donate it. When the donor decides, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to donate it. Then the contract is written between the donor and the specialized nonprofit that does this for a living and has for 20 years. And that specialized nonprofit, if there's a mortgage, it gets paid off. If the donor says, you know, I love John's church, but I don't love him that much, I want to get a couple $100,000 in my pocket for my kids, then that happens. That specialized nonprofit takes title to the property. Donor is off the deed. They got their tax deduction. They're happy. Now, specialized nonprofit lists that property with a real estate agent at a full commission. We want everybody to be compensated here. So the real estate agent sells it. And when it's sold, any money that came out of pocket, paying off mortgages or giving them cash or commission or whatever, gets recouped. And the specialized nonprofit gives you, in essence, 98% of the proceeds, and they keep a couple percent to keep their own doors open. That's really how it works.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And like I said, when you go to that link, you'll see all of that laid right out. Video after document after case study. Study it to your heart's content. And Toni will make sure that you have all of that. Now, here's what I'll leave you with. It is risk-free and it is zero out of pocket. If you just tell people and real estate comes to the table, didn't cost you anything. Now, what we also have is the certified charitable real estate specialist, which includes a master class, a 3-hour-long class that Toni's been to once or twice. So the master class, the certification, getting on a map and being part of the exposure that we're creating for folks, having access to us for email support, be able to get your questions answered and stuff like that. That's something that realtors do a lot, realtors and financial advisors, but nonprofits can too. Nonprofits need the exposure. Nonprofits need to get their questions answered. So I just want to throw that out, that that's part of what you can do as well, as be a specialist. And on my website, it's $400, but I can get it for you for $197 if that's something you want to do. This is not a sales pitch. I have no interest in selling you anything. I'm telling you some of the different options that we have available. So happy to explore any of that with you as well. All right, Toni, I'm sitting in the pitch black now. I got to go inside. The bugs are I'm going to send you this recording and you can share it with whomever you need.
Okay, Cami, thank you so much. Appreciate all your information.
You're welcome.
You're
Bye, everybody.
wonderful. Have a blessed night.